Hey guys, my name is Tony Bryson. If you don't know me, you're gonna know me. Now, I really have a really interesting book for you guys this week that I read. And I do a book review every single week, so subscribe. So, guys, this book is called Never Split the Difference, and it's a book all about negotiation. And the author of the book is Chris Voss. Before I read this book, I knew nothing about Chris Voss. He was a really good, like, not really anything because I didn't know him, but Chris Voss is an author and he was also an FBI agent that negotiated deals with terrorists, kidnappers, and deals that if you didn't make them, someone would die on the other end. Now, this book really brought me to a conclusion where I tried doing this video like several times already, and I can't fit all the information that I got from this book in this one video that's like 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes long. So I want to make sure after I'm done telling you guys the stories and a little bit of the surface of the book, I want you guys to go ahead and read the book. But if you can, please get the audiobook. What they do describing the stories with the voice and all the characters and everything like that, it really puts an entire different layer to the book. So I want you guys to listen to the audiobook. It's really good. It's really fulfilling. Now, the first story I want to share with you guys that I got from the book, well, the first thing I want to tell you guys that I really got from the book was negotiation isn't just compromise. That's not what negotiation is. And I always thought, like, when you do a deal, when you negotiate anything, the entire reason for doing it is so both parties walk out happy. But you're not really playing at the psychological game in that aspect when you're doing it like that, because you're just like skimming the top layer of it. So for example, if I'm having an argument with my girlfriend and she tells me, Tommy, I want you to wear the brown shoes, and I tell her, hey, I want to wear the black shoes today. And she tells me, well, you never do what I want, right? And I say, all right, honey, I'm going to compromise. I'm going to wear the black shoe and the brown shoe. And I'll go outside and I'm walking like that. And that's kind of like what compromise is in a sense. You know what I mean? So in this book, I not only learned how not to compromise, how to walk out a deal feeling good, and that person also feeling good, but there was no compromise. There was no really fair deal. And it doesn't sound really that good, but it'll make sense later on in the review, right? Because this guy, you got to understand, and I'm going to tell you one of the stories right now. He's negotiating deals with kidnappers. And whenever someone is kidnapped, the kidnapper feels like they have all the leverage. But in reality, they have a product that only has one buyer and only one person is interested and only one person is interested in buying. So imagine you have a business and you only have one product and only one person in the world that's interested in buying it. You see what I'm saying? So you kind of got to work with each other, because if you guys don't work together, then what's going to happen? You kill that person and you run the risk of like being like locked up for the rest of your life. So Chris Voss had this entire issue with a kidnapper in Haiti. And if you don't know why Haiti, it's because Haiti had one of the most highest kidnapping rates in the entire world. And I didn't know that. It came to a surprise to me also. But he had this entire issue with a kidnapper, with kidnappers actually, that were negotiating on behalf of an aunt, right? For example, they kidnapped an aunt and they were negotiating with they were trying to negotiate a price to get the aunt back without harming her or whatever, right? So the kidnapper said, well, Chris, we want $1 million. And he says, wow, that's a lot of money. How are we supposed to get that money? And it wasn't really Chris talking, it was the nephew of the aunt, because you never want to talk from like a FBI stand, like you never really want to talk as an FBI person, because that person might get really nervous and think like you're onto them, blah blah blah, and so on. So they went from $1 million all the way down to $3,000 after Chris coached that nephew to say what Chris said to say to the kidnappers, basically, right? And it was an incredible story. It's amazing. It's incredible. So, for example, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of the story. The kidnapper said, I want $1 million and I want it now before Friday, right? And no one understood why they wanted the money before Friday. You would just think that it was urgent, blah, blah, blah. They just want the money so they can do whatever they want to do. But come to find out, the reason they wanted the money before Friday is because they wanted to go partying. Yeah, I said partying. Partying with the money over the weekend and spend it all and probably kidnap somebody else during the week. It's crazy over in Haiti, right? But Chris, as soon as Chris found that out, he had leverage over them. So I'm going to be talking as if Chris was talking to them, but in reality, it was a grandson talking to the kidnappers, right? But it's just easier for the story's sake if I just say Chris was talking to them directly. So, for example, the kidnapper said, we want $1 million. Chris said, how are we supposed to get that money? That's too much money. And the kidnappers instantly started thinking, wow, that was a really good question. Like, how are you supposed to get that money? And they said, well, you gotta just borrow it. Just do whatever you want to do. And he said, well, how do I borrow it? How do I get that money, all that money before Friday? How do I do it? You know, and the kidnappers were like, wow. You know, they couldn't offer any answers or any solutions because they didn't know. So when they asked, how much money do you have? He said, well, I only have $1,000. You know what I mean? And the kidnappers were like, what? You only have $1,000? From $1 million all the way down to $1,000. That's called a low anchor. When you throw a number that's really below the price range, so that person's expectations can like fall really low, so they don't expect anything high. So he says, wow, no. The best we can do is $25,000. From $1 million all the way down to $25,000. And Chris said, well, how are we supposed to get all that money? And he said, the kidnappers say, well, can't you sell something? Can't you do something to get the money? And he says, yeah, I have a car. I can sell that. And he says, well, sell the car. How much is it worth? And he says, well, the car is only worth like $1,000 too. And he says, well, sell the car. And then Chris says, how am I supposed to find a buyer for the car before Friday? And it's kind of like just saying how, like, it's kind of just like asking how and what questions to kind of get more information from that party and kind of get them talking and trying to find solutions for you, so they feel as if like they're in charge, but you're not, but they really aren't in charge because you're the one doing all the guiding of the conversations. For example, if Chris said, well, how am I supposed to get that money? Do you think I should sell my car? You know, that person would say yes, but in reality, you just incline the entire conversation towards the car. So they feel as if, wow, they just have a car. They don't have the money. So how are we supposed to do this, you know? And in reality, they don't want to kill anyone. They just want the money to go partying. It's not a really good way to get it, but that's all they really want to get. So once he had that information, he knew what to do. So they keep negotiating, and then Chris says, I managed to sell this and that. I can get $3,000 and I can throw in a radio. And they say like, oh no, that's not enough, right? And he says, okay, I'm gonna try my best. What do you think I should do? And the kidnappers are like, I don't know, we just try to figure it out, blah blah blah, right? Point is, they throw in an odd number in there, so you can actually tell that they calculated everything, but in reality they really didn't. So for example, he said $3,105. When he puts the odd number there, like a number that's like calculated heavily, that person, that third party thinks like, wow, they really broke down everything and that's all the money they really have. So you kind of feel as if, wow, I'm getting every single penny they have. I can't push anymore. I don't have anything else to push for. So the kidnappers ended up saying yes, and they got a radio with it, and they went out partying with the money, and I think they got caught also. But the entire idea of that little story is that, once you know what the kidnapper really wants, you can really exploit it. 2, if you keep asking questions of how and what and wearing them down, you're going to get the price down no matter what. Why? Because they have a product that no one else wants to buy, and in reality, all they want is the money. They don't want to hurt anyone. So once you know what they want, you have more leverage over them. Now, the second story I want to share with you guys from the book, it's not really a good story. It doesn't really end well. Somebody gets murdered. Spoiler alert. Right? But it's a real story about a guy that kept calling the bank and saying like, hey, I want this, I want that, blah, 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 I want to get out of the bank, blah, blah, blah. But they kept ignoring him, right? 30 to an hour later, he shows up at the bank with a shotgun saying, I'm going to kill everyone, call the cops, blah, blah, blah. They call the cops, and when the cops get there, and they're like, well, what do you want? What can we do? And he's saying like, I want this, and I want that. And if you don't do that by this time, I'm going to kill them. But if you don't know something about this, and this is not really good information to be given out like this, so I don't really know why he gave that information out there. But whenever a kidnapper or somebody that's holding somebody hostage is giving you a deadline, that deadline isn't really real. You know, because they didn't go there to actually kill that person or kill people. They went in there to get money. They went in there to get something, and that's all they really want. In that person's case, like, they would probably want an escape route or something like that, but they really didn't. Because the person that was doing the kidnapping, he actually left a voice note to the bank saying, after the cops killed me, I'm going to be at peace, blah, blah, blah. So it was like a suicide by a cop assistant that he actually wanted, but no one knew. So while the negotiators are negotiating with the kidnappers and they think that he's actually not going to kill anyone, that's actually what you call a black goose, right? A black goose is a situation or something that happens that no one expected to happen. Like, it's an outlier. So when the time came, boom, shot him. And once they knew about the voicemail that once they knew about the voicemail and the letter that he had sent saying like, oh, the cops are gonna kill me, blah, 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 a sniper saw him and shot him from across the street. You know what I mean? So, tell you that story, like I know it's like a very morbid story, and it doesn't really make sense of what I'm saying because I'm trying to fit too much information into this video. But to tell you what the story is actually about, it's about figuring out that when you go into a deal, you have to understand that there are outliers outside of that deal. That there are things that you might not know, or you might know, but you might not think that they will actually happen. So you have to be prepared at all costs, at all times. So the third and final story that I want to tell you guys isn't really a story. I lied. Negotiation tactics. There you go. But the third thing I want to tell you is that whenever it comes to negotiation, whenever it comes to negotiating anything, you have to be prevalent. You have to be capable. You have to want to do that. For example, you see a lot of couples, you see a lot of people that they're afraid of conversation, they're afraid of conflict, they're afraid of anything. But that's what life is about, you know, because if you don't negotiate, if you don't try to find a middle ground, well, not middle ground, remember what I said about negotiation like that, but you want to make sure you're okay with negotiating things at all times. You don't want to be afraid of it. You want to really learn about tactics and things you can use in your benefit to get what you want at all times. You know what I mean? So I know this video is a little weird, you know, because I'm just sharing with you stories and like blanks of information. But trust me guys when I say this book is A1, it's perfect, it's really good. And I want you guys to read that book because what I did here in this video is mediocre compared to what Chris Voss did in this book. And all the achievements and all the life that this guy has saved is like, I don't even know how many. But the point is, listen to the book, preferably. Trust me, you want to listen to it. It's really good. It's a really good listen. And tell me guys what you think. So, guys, that's all I really have to say. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, like, and comment. And let me know down there. Let me know what you think about this book when you do read it. Let me know what you think about negotiation. Let me know if you're the type of person that rather compromise when it comes to negotiation, or you rather get what you really want and really push for what you really want. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
You've got to start